Okay, eerstens wil ek vir jou welkom sê. Baie dankie dat jy gekom het, Shonene. We're going to try to do it in English, because I think most of the people are English on here. So we'll wait for some people to come on. If you want to come up, you can request. I'm sure we can, we will approve it. If you want to talk directly, but maybe while we wait for the people to come in, you can maybe introduce you, and Johan is also here, but he's in the comments maybe. Just tell us more about what you guys do, and how do you feel about the market?
All right, so we are a company. Johan has been in the solar industry for many, many years. Then he thought he was going to retire, and then he decided, okay, now against it. So we started this company initially to also assist with installations and the type of equipment that is NRS certified, because a lot of people don't know that your inverter needs to be NRS certified. And then we found that most installers and homeowners don't have any idea that the system that they have installed already or want to install needs to be registered at the local council, which includes various documents and attachments and engineers' reports, but it also differs from council to council slightly. The SSEG application is mostly the same, but what they require extra is quite different. So we set out going about contacting all the municipalities nationwide, trying to get hold of the head of electrical department, the electrical engineer, to find out what their requirements are, to try and assist people, because obviously it takes a very long time. I know Twane told me the other day that for a new installation, if you apply for your SSEG, it could take 6 months before you get approval to install. And most installers and clients don't want to wait that long. So they go ahead and they install, and they just never get to the registration of the system. So that's basically where we come in.
Okay. So the first step is basically you have to apply, am I correct?
That's correct.
And that what does that all include? Because there's lots of confusion, because ESKOM write about generators, so anything that generates energy,
Yes, that's correct. So the application, they call it SSEG, small scale embedded system, generating system, which could be either a generator or a solar, even wind powered. Some of the municipalities even want to register when you go totally off grid, which is still in contention. But Johan has a few ideas around that. So the SSEG application that you fill in is basically telling your municipality, this is the kilowatt system that I'm installing. I have so many panels. I'm going to be able to generate X amount. And with that, I will be able to give back to the grid X amount. Or I don't want to give anything back to the grid. I want to just use my solar power for myself and not taking it back in essence. So that is the application. And obviously with the SSEG, they require certain attachments to go with that.
Okay. Because, I don't know if you went through the comments, if you saw all the comments. People are very, very, very negative. Let's gatvol for ESKOM. And, we cannot blame them. But, that's why I said people can please, let's share the information. Each one on their own. We know that they're going to say, okay, there's some. So if you come on the panel and you ask questions, we allow it. If you come as jy kom kort hierso, dan gaan ons jou mute, because it's going to be informative.
Yes.
And just to try and see where does it come from, because I think there's nothing wrong. I'm all for safety. I think that most of my followers know that. But the thing is, I think they 10 10 years too late,
Yes, I think the thing is the initial implementation of this has actually been policy for quite a number of years. It's just never been implemented. And now suddenly you have lithium ion batteries at the bottom of Tafelberg, burning for how many days. You have houses that physically burn down because either the panel or the inverter or the electrical wiring, because they just didn't have the correct electrician, someone who really could do the job. So I think for safety standards, that has become a real big thing that they now want to have that legalized, and to ensure that ESKOM and the municipality know the amount that is going out and coming into the grid, so that they also can do their calculations with regard to possible load shedding and things like that.
Yes. So, do you find it in the market that you spoke about a few fires? It's not really, it doesn't really come out on the main media, does it? You hear about it, but then it goes a bit silent, because there's people who's gonna be held accountable, somebody. But yeah, there's human error. There's lots of things, but we don't see any reports. That's a concern for me.
I think that's the big thing, and because I literally just in the past week spoke to a few people that they got their installation, they just didn't feel right about, and they got a physical COC. So obviously then they think all's in order, and I think something started tripping or whatever else. They got in someone else. It was apparently a whole hassle. The wrong wires were put in the wrong place and whatever else, and they had to kind of rewire this whole guy's house. And obviously that's an additional expense after he's now already installed the solar panels and inverter and whatever else. Now you need to get someone who's actually reputable and then sign off a COC. But the municipality wants to make sure that when you register your PG on what they call commission, at the end of the day, it needs to be a EXA registered engineer. So it's the Electrical Council of South Africa. So someone who's registered with EXA needs to sign off the final commissioning, and only then your system is legal, because then there's recourse to be taken if something happens.
Okay. So just a question. Let's start with a few things that came up. A normal generator, they also have to do it. If you just got a backup generator, you have to register.
Yes, anything that generates power to your system, even if it's just as a backup when there's no load shedding.
So backup generator, everything.
Everything, yes.
So all the lights that stays on, if ESKOM goes in load shedding, has to go through this.
That's correct, yes.
And do you think ESKOM can handle that?
That, in essence, is a very good question. Because ESKOM itself, once again, just since we've had that article in Marula Media, I've had a lot of people who have ESKOM prepaid meters, not from the municipality. And I mean, they've either been struggling for 7 years to get it on their name, or they have, countless errors every month. It's incorrect because they just they don't come and do a reading. They just give you an estimate. So a lot of people with ESKOM itself, they have a huge issue at the moment. So the ESKOM registrations itself, we haven't done one of them. I am actually busy trying to sort out, because the guy, he lives in Betty's Bay. He's under Oeverstrand municipality, but he has a ESKOM prepaid meter. It's
Yeah,
not connected to the municipality. So now suddenly the issue becomes, I need to get a structural engineer's report. Who do I give it to? Because ESKOM doesn't want it. They don't care about that. But the municipality, the building control is going to care about that. So you understand. So that's where I think the biggest concern at the moment is for us doing the work to try and get like a flat line of, this X, Y, and Z is what you need. This is what it's going to cost. Obviously, certain areas, engineers charge you different rates. I can't get past that. But these are your specifications, and if you send that to me, that's fine.
okay. Okay, I think let's see if we can get some of the comments. If there's somebody there, I must just quickly browse through it, because the people talk about, I think some people mentioned that how can an engineer goes beyond the COC certificate. They've got a COC certificate, but I've been in the installations prior the big spike in 2022, 2023. Then I walked out because I knew there's going to be trouble. And I moved more towards the safety side, and but you get to the solar cleaner, the panel cleaners. They send me photos every day, huge plants where that's totally. What the eye doesn't see. Hoe sê hulle, wat die oog nie sien nie, maak die hart nie seer nie.
That's it.
So it's unfortunate, but things are not on standard. But I'm just thinking that the people are really not with it. So let's go through. Saki says, why do I have to register my system if it was installed in accordance to SANS 10142-1 and the COC was issued? So some people will come in and some will come out. So I think we will repeatedly just answer it. But I think you did. But if you can just maybe answer him quickly.
Again, all right, that's fine. So it was installed according to the SANS regulations. That is fine. But part of that, the new regulations, and there's quite a few acts. I think Johan sent you all the different acts that are actually used with this, but part of it is the NRS, the National Regulating Systems Act. And according to that, each municipality needs to have a policy to register all systems. Even though it was installed according to SANS, the municipality needs to know that. So that means your inverter needs to have an NRS certification. So only certain inverters are on the approved list. And if it's not on the approved list, they see it as a risk because it doesn't have this certification. And that is why that's part of the safety issue that needs to go along with it.
So each case will be handled separately, so am I correct with that, eh?
Yes.
So they will look at your inverter, because you just mentioned now that certain inverters are, have some features in it, safety features, but they still have to go and have a look if it's set correctly, because I know lots of installations that they've got all these tools, but it's not set correctly. The installers did the wiring is correct, but the settings is another thing. Can you maybe name one or two brands that that is, because I told the people that time, so goedkoop koop gaan nou duur koop word.
But that's exactly what's happening at the moment. So, there's the list it's huge. It really is. So I'm just going to name a few. Victron is obviously the biggest one. It's been, I think, in South Africa the longest. Your dye inverter, your Synergy, there's a Fox S. So things like the Musk is not on the approved list. So normally when you go and shop and you see you can get a 3 kilowatt or a 5 kilowatt for 2,500-3,000 rand, you can actually bet your money that is not on the approved list.
Yeah, and I mean, I see Robert says here, Lux Power, Sunsync.
Lux Power, yes. Sunsync, yes.
Yeah, because Lux Power has ranges as well. So certain, not all, and not old models. So, so I think very important. So this is what we say: is it's for some it will be very expensive because you will have to put in other features now to protect that. And for others, can protect it all by itself. So bidirectional inverters, might not, that's a good thing. So this is the information we gave them before this, and the people didn't listen, and the people rushed for the cheaper prices because, I mean, it makes sense. It's a 3 kilowatts, they say, but now that is the thing. Okay, so what the people must remember is there, if you totally off the grid, obviously there's not going to be cost involved, but you still need to register.
Certain municipalities you have to register still. So some of the municipalities, they literally have it in their bylaws and their policies. If you are totally off grid, meaning that your ESKOM cable coming to your house or your property or whatever is literally severed, tied off. Obviously, there's going to be a cost involved for ESKOM to take off their equipment and make that clear-cut connection. But if you're totally off the grid, some municipalities, they don't require any registration, while other municipalities still want that because how do you say it? They say that they are still responsible for other people in your area. So say you go off grid and your system is not, wired correctly, something's wrong with your panels. So either your panels or your inverter or your batteries catch fire, you don't have a structural report, so your house falls in and it goes to your neighbor, and your neighbor is still connected, but his house also catches fire. So the municipalities that say they want registration is the municipalities that actually, they say they're looking at the bigger picture on this whole thing.
Okay. I think I see JONO he was also invited to come up, so hopefully he will. He comes. It's his first time also on. Mr. JONO.
Hey, hi there. I'm sorry, guys. This is the first time I've ever been on a live, so I don't even know how to use the buttons. I don't know when to speak. I don't know whether I could speak.
Johan, it's not just me; it's other people as well.
Yeah, and you know what's the worst thing? I'm only 42 years old. I should know technology a little bit,
That's the problem. Is I don't have one of the young kids around that I can just actually say, "Okay, come help me here quickly."
Yeah, exactly. I see Kumar says put on my camera. I don't even know how I do that. Hold on a second. Let me just see. I'm not sure whether your guys do want to see my face. And how do I do this? Just give me a moment, guys, please.
Yeah, I'm on the computer now.
There's effects and stuff here. Whoa, I don't want to have me looking like a girl in the pictures. So, they got all these fancy effects. No effects. Okay.
Put the bunny ears on, man.
No, man. People don't take me seriously then. Hi, guys. I hope you're all well.
Yes,
I know this is, yes, it's such a topic, ma'am, I was listening to you. Sorry, I didn't get your name.
My name is Shonene.
Shonene?
Yes.
Shonene, I was listening to you and, just as you're talking and you're almost as if you're selling us what's the right thing for us to do. And my heart rate is just climbing up. Like, I want to see something, but I'm like, let's just let everything just go and we tackle one topic at a time and we can go with it.
It's not really selling. It's literally, I think it's a situation where it's something that has to be done. And we literally were overwhelmed with the amount of people that didn't know that they have to do it, even installers that didn't know that they have to do this. And so we are really just trying to assist people with the process, because it is a arduous journey to get hold of municipalities and to get someone who will actually speak to you and email them every day. And so for a homeowner with a full-time job, I wouldn't be able to do that if I wanted to register my system and go through that every day, because I don't want to worry about that, because I'm literally not going to remember to follow up every day on something.
Yeah. So there's a few points I want to talk about, and we can unpack them one at a time. The main thing I understand with municipalities and ESKOM wanting us to register our systems, it's simple. You're tying into the grid. You're generating electricity. Your frequency on your system needs to tie in perfectly, goes into the grid, and everything must be perfect. Right? I understand. We're tying into their network. We should follow that type of procedures and do it correctly. 100%.
Yeah.
Happy with that. The thing where it goes now from here is that if I chose to not feed into the grid and I set up my system, whatever it is, whether it's a Victron, a SunSync Day, and I tick on the boxes to not allow it to feed into the grid, I am still tying into their system, but I'm not feeding back into them. So that's another issue. That's another, another point now, right? Now, obviously, if you have a smart meter in place or a prepaid meter, you can't feed back into the grid. So it would pick up a fault on the meter, and the meter will prevent you from feeding back, right? That's another thing. I understand when you're feeding, I'm not an engineer, but I understand when you're feeding back into the grid, you're now feeding it into the network, which is going to be feeding back onto a transformer, the MV transformer. So you got your 11 kV coming in, you got your 400 volts on the outside of that. Now you feeding on that, you're going to cause some sort of disruption to it. Yes, if I did it right now, there'll be no problem. But if there's 20 people on my road or feeding onto that transformer and everyone's feeding quite hard, it could cause a problem. Could be a problem with the switch gear, right? Totally understand that. Another point that I want, so I'm going to go through a few points and then maybe we can start unpacking them slowly, right? One of the things I've also want to say is that ESKOM wants us to register this, right? Perfect. They are obviously the power producer. However, you have to tie in with your municipality's paperwork. So in our case, in KZN, we'll do the documentation with eThekwini. Now, these documents have been online for years. It's been there forever. And I've seen these documents quite a few years ago on the municipality website. And if you read the print on it, not even fine print, I'm actually going to read one part on the form. It says there, connect an embedded generator to the grid with a maximum generation output of 4.6 kVA single phase or 13.8 kVA three phase, which in essence means that if you have single phase in your property, you cannot have solar panels more than 4.6 kVA. That's the way I see it, single phase. And if you had a three-phase system, you cannot have more than 13.8 kVA. Now, if you say 4.6 kVA single phase, which means you can't put more than 6 or 7 550-watt panels on your single phase house, right? That's another point that I wanted to mention to you guys. Then obviously that's a big limitation because nobody is putting 6 panels on their roof. You know, everyone's going 8, 12.
Listen, sorry for interjecting, man. Let's be honest with ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves. ESKOM is facing a couple of problems. They want to make money from guys who are living in the suburbs. And another problem that ESKOM is facing is that illegal electrical connection from people who live in informal settlements and townships, because that is the main problem that ESKOM is facing. People who live in informal settlements want access to electricity. That's number one. And number two, they do not want to pay for it. And number three, if ESKOM and SAPS or the metros or the government want to force these people to pay for electricity, these guys are going to protest. You know, I've got solar at my place. I've got a 3 kilowatt system. I've got a JOJO tank. I'm actually even thinking of getting a borehole system. So number one, I don't need ESKOM and I don't need rent water. How are these guys going to make money? Because ESKOM, they have to face these guys, these illegal electricity guys. ESKOM has to face these guys, and we are supplying electricity to other countries, not only South Africa, Mozambique, Botswana, Namibia, Lesotho, Swaziland, and other countries. We are supplying electricity to these guys. And as far as I know, these guys are paying cash. But the issue what I want to ask is, how is ESKOM dealing with illegal electricity connection? Are those people paying? Because that is the main main issue, that ESKOM is paying. Look, we live in the suburbs. We've got the money where we can buy solar, inverters, batteries, and whatever. We've got the money, but how is ESKOM dealing with these people? Because number one, these people are from other countries, they're illegal immigrants, and man, it's a long story, man. Like ESKOM, what I understand from ESKOM is that ESKOM is trying to take those problems from people from illegal electricity connections, and they want us who live in suburbs or who can afford solar to pay and cover for these people. And that is not right. That is the problem, man. Let me land. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah.
No, thank you for that, Moesh. I appreciate that. I'm going to come down that path as well. Don't worry about that. We're going to come down there as well. Right. So just to go back to where I was, we were speaking about the amount of panels you're going to put on your roof, or allowed to put, based on that documentation from eThekwini municipality, right? So there's a limitation on that. And obviously, I can tell you 90% of the people are already over that limit. I spoke to a client of mine that fitted a Victron system about 4 years ago. And I just messaged him the other day just to get some feedback on him on his system. He didn't respond fully to me, but he did tell me that, yes, there was a limitation when he had to fit his panels on his roof. And he told me after he fitted his solar, when they did the application, he had to remove 2 panels. So I'm pretty sure he had to fit inside the 13.8 kVA because he had a 3-phase system in his house. So that was another limiting thing on the system. Another thing that I wanted to mention to you guys is, yes, we totally understand them having approved inverters because they obviously have a certain level of safety features inside it. And I remember some time back, we mentioned that Victron obviously has been in the country for a long time, and they all fit into that system of being the specified ones that fit into that NRS spec. One of them doesn't fit. The Quattros don't fit. So therefore, you have to fit an external device, a Zale controller or whatever device it is, to have that working. Yeah, So that's another thing I wanted to mention to you guys. And then the idea of us registering a system, and if we were to play the side of ESKOM, wanting us to register it because they want to know who's feeding into the grid, they want to know who's on their network, all of that. Let's say that if I had a generator on my property, and whether it's one of these 6.5s, which isn't even right to be there, but let's just say you had a proper one, a 30 kVA, you get your main supply, goes into the generator, and it feeds out of the generator. It goes through an automatic transfer switch, and that automatic transfer switch works as an on, off, on. At no given time are the grid synchronized with the generator. They're always separated by a switch from off, on, off. I said on, off, on. Sorry, I made a mistake there. Yeah. Off, on, off. No, sorry, my bad. It will be on to the grid, it will be off position, and it will be on to the other side, to the gen. Right? But the point is that the generator is completely disconnected from the grid. There's no way that the generator supply is in any way synchronizing with the grid supply. So in my opinion, if we want to talk about registering, a generator should not be needed to be registered to the system. Further to that, if I remember you mentioning that if you go completely off grid, they still want you to register. Now, what is the purpose of this? Now, they wanted to know what we are what system we've got and what we're feeding in, so they can kind of work their magic and make sure their system is all stable. But if I choose to go outside and drop my main switch or phone eThekwini and tell them, pull out my fuses, I don't want your power anymore, I still need to register. So this is the problem what our people are facing, and nobody wants to register because of this. And I understand the whole thing about the whole thing about us making sure things are done safely. You know what? I'm an electrical contractor, and we try our best to make sure everything is done above board. However, we're fighting in a market that has a whole lot of people that are just doing haphazard work, and it's been going on like that for the last 10, 15 odd years, whatever it was. And now we are the ones that will end up getting targeted because we are the legitimate electrical contractor that has registered addresses, registered businesses, registered phone numbers. You phone me today, you phone me 20 years ago, you'll get me on the same number, that kind of thing. And therefore we are the ones that have to all now suddenly have to become more compliant to make sure our clients are happy and getting what they want, whereas there's a non-compliant contractor, electrician, going and fitting these things and going on. So what's happening is we constantly having to fight to get work and do things the right way. And every time something else gets thrown in the way to make things safer, make things better for the grid, make things better for ESKOM, it targets and hurts the electrical contractors, the legitimate ones. And we were speaking also about engineers. You need to be registered with the ECSA, Engineering Council. Now, they want to be the one that puts together the design of the system. But if I pick up a COC form, there's a section there which I fill in as the registered electrician that shows there's a section to sign where I've designed the system. Yes, I've designed the system and I can sign it off. But now we need to get an engineer now just because that's what the council, that's what ESKOM asked for. So these are the few points that I want to talk about. And just to touch on what Muki was saying, I know because a lot of people feel this. It's so weird, even though we know these things have been out on the internet and they were speaking about us wanting to register our system forever, but people obviously don't know about it, right? But I knew about it. The thing is, even though it's like that, it's so weird that when NERSA doesn't approve of their price hike, their percentage that they requested, oh, wait, let us find another way to get income in. And this is how we're going to get it from. And Muki is right in the sense that we live in the suburbs. We find every way to make our life safer, less dependent on the powers that be, because we don't want to be controlled. We don't want to sit in a place where we don't know what's coming tomorrow. So Muki said he went and put a backup water. He went and he put in an inverter system. It cost him money to do that. He could have used the money for other things, but he did that. And now he wants to get a bowl. I know there was even stories about people saying that if you put a bowl, they want to have a permit for getting the water out of the ground. It's like every way that a person that is compliant, a person that does the right thing in the face of the law every day, and that person has to feel the brunt of it every day and get hit every day down. Every time he tries to climb out of this hole, there's somebody that's trying to push him down. And this is me speaking from the side of the people that have this system, the people that are struggling every day, that want to come out of life and get something out of it. And every day there's somebody that comes throwing a piece of paper in their face. No, you need to do this. And it's easy for me to go to Muki's house, go disconnect his system, send him a fine, put it in his mail, and he has to pay. But what about all the people that have stealing power, the people, illegal connections, all of that? Those people they just walk by with no recourse, So yeah, I just want to shake up these things a little bit, get everyone in there. I just want to say, but we can start each thing one at a time, and we can see how we go from there.
I think it's a good idea. I just want to ask Johan if he can just try and get my colleague Johan Lemmer on audio, because he's the technical one. I'm more the paperwork administration one. So I think there's some stuff that he would be able to answer you better on the specific questions that you've asked now. Look, do I totally agree with the whole system from ESKOM's side? No, but for me, the registration, I do think for safety purposes, it's a necessity. It just becomes expensive at the moment because you spoke about the smart meters. Sorry. They talk about a bidirectional meter because the normal prepaid meter can't handle the solar. So now you have to install a smart meter. So even if you don't give back to the grid and only for yourself, you still need to have a smart meter. So And once again, different municipalities work with this differently. So some municipalities say they will give you the meter and they won't charge you for installation, but they charge you X amount for a deposit and they charge you for a changeover fee. Another municipality says, you know what, this is the brand we use. You can buy your own one. Let us know and we will come and install it free for you, which is a lot cheaper option because there's no deposit payable to the municipality again. So I do understand that the smart meter is becoming a necessity because the prepaid meters are apparently going haywire with all the solar systems. You should know on the electrical side. That's just what I've now heard and what some of the installers have told us. So once again, from the municipality side, like let's say Tshwane, I can't even tell my clients beforehand that it's going to cost you for your smart meter X amount because they want the SSEG registration done first, and then they send you a quotation for the smart meter, which you have to take because otherwise your prepaid is going to go haywire. But beforehand, you have no idea exactly what the cost is going to be. So I totally understand why people are jumping up and down with this.
So just to touch on that whole meter thing, the prepaid meter will not go haywire if you do not feed back into it. So as long as you keep your grid feeding you at least 20 watts or 100 watts. I know some people, some meters are a little bit sensitive. So some of the guys will set it at 100 watts positive, meaning that it will constantly take from the grid that 100 watts. So therefore, the solar, when it wants to push back, it won't. It'll stop at the CT and prevent it from going back. So it won't go haywire. So the installers that had that issue, they would have picked it up while they were fitting and tuning up the system, setting up the system. They would have picked up that they needed to change some settings on it to not allow it to feed back to the grid. Because once you do that, you might just a click of one button and you could have that issue. So once the guys do that, then they don't feed back to the grid. So to be quite honest, you don't need to have a smart meter if you don't want to feed the grid. That's my opinion, and that's what I can say as an electrical contractor.
Yes.
As long as you keep it on your side.
But now, like I said, some of the municipalities, as soon as you do a SSEG registration, you have to do a smart meter, even if you don't push back into the grid.
I totally accept that. Yeah, that's how the process is. Once you do that SSEG application, they will change it to a smart meter, 100%.
Yes,
whether you choose to feed back or not, it's a bi-directional smart meter.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. I see a few on that. I see a few people just asking about tariffs and things like that. That once again, I'm sorry. Each municipality, obviously, they have their set tariffs, which you can literally Google. We also have them on hand, so we send them to people so that they have an idea what they're in for. Because obviously they say when you push back on the grid, you build up credits, but people need to also know that the credits are not equal to what you pay for electricity. It is less.
Yes.
So it's not a one-on-one transaction. So you need to keep that in mind. So yes, I'm building up credits, but it's not a one-on-one transaction that the amount I'm giving back is the amount that I'll be able to pull.
Shonene, they'll pay you 25 cents that way, and you'll pay R1 when you pull it back.
Yes.
Not
that exact figure, but
I just want to say to Johan, don't you just want to click on the invite button? Then I will see you. Then I will accept you. You don't need to have your webcam on, because I sent you a few invitations, but you for some reason I sent one again. Just see if there's a notification, then you can come in. So it's very tricky and complicated and this and that, but at the end of the day, we know what's going to happen is they got to push through it. The paper is out, and although that we don't agree with it, I don't know how we can go about it, but I think the main thing is basically JONO, you know your installations and I know your work, and you know the CT scan and you can set it, but how many inverters are there outside that doesn't have it or has not been set because the installers was, the Bakkie Brigade, although I see the bakkies are cheap now because they bought bakkies and now there's no work, so they sold them all again. So, but I heard that, yeah, but now I hear they're going over to solar panel cleaning now. The original solar panel cleanings. Can you believe it? I heard with one guy now, they now pushing for R2.50 per panel to wash it. It's ridiculous because now there's a crash in the market there, you know. So yeah.
Oh, goodness. No, it's. I think you're always going to have this issue of how to sort it out. And to be quite honest, I found, speaking to municipalities, that the electrical department, they don't even sometimes speak to the building department, even though you need to have approval from both sides. But then you send something this way, and then you speak to electrical again, and they say, but they're still waiting on building. Then I'm like, but it's not possible because I've already sent you the building stuff. I think municipalities in themselves are kind of confused on exactly how to implement the system in a logical way to be able to assist the owners in the area, not make it ridiculously expensive. Because if you think of just getting architects' plans, structural engineers, getting electrical engineer, what we do is, you say you're electrical contractor. So we use the electrical contractors as far as possible for, like you said, doing the drafting, the SLD, the circuit diagram, whatever else. I don't let my electrical engineer touch that because they charge like ridiculous amounts sometimes. But because at the end of the SSEG on commissioning, I need his signature. So what I actually do is I send him with the electrical contractor to the site and say, all right, he's going to now do all the tests. You're going to check. You're going to say you're happy and you're going to sign my document.
So the engineer is basically there to just to check that you do it. So,
he's actually our policeman now.
Yeah, and he has to.
I pay. What's those people? The ECA. I pay the ECB, and I thought I was my own policeman, you know. But anyway.
Well, if you XR registered, fantastic. I'm going to get your number because
I'm ECA, so not electrical. Not the engineering council. I'm the electrical.
It's like you say. It's you actually the one doing the work. You know your work, but now you need someone. And it's going to sound terrible now, but you need someone with a degree to come and stand there and just tick a box where you did all the work. But unfortunately, that's what it says.
I mean, for me, it also doesn't make sense, that part, because, I mean, the tradesman has been in the trade for many years. But yeah, let's not go there because the engineers, they're very clever. But man, oh man, give them a wire and a tongue, they can do nothing. But so JONO, I just want to, is this now, even ask here, is this now a law? Is it a law? Can they take you to court with it? Is it as solid or is it just good practice?
You know, the news that went out the other day was that if we do not have our systems all registered by, 2026, March 31st or something like that, we're going to all face fines. Now, how they going to do this? Are they going to go sending someone house to house, going and checking if they got panels on their roof, and then sending them a letter in the mailbox? Is that what they're planning to do? If that's what they're planning to do, then they're going to end up having to do that, because I can tell you a lot of people are not going to register their systems. And especially...
Sorry, now I wanted to say, City of Cape Town has employed a company who literally has a drone going around Cape Town and pinpointing the solar panels on the roofs so that they can go back and check the registrations. So you say being a policeman, that's, like I said, that's City of Cape Town. At the moment, that is, they are, I think, the strictest at this stage for me with the registrations that I've seen. wherever nationally that I've spoken to municipalities and installers and clients. But yes, like I said, we just try, we are just trying to help the people if they want to do it and if they have the funds to do it. I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm not going to give you a fine. Literally, we got one of the municipalities because building control kept on giving people who they had installations for like 4 years, but never had their plans for their house drafted. Now this municipality wants additional plans. So they drafted plans, but say, I think it was for a swimming pool or something different. And when they came out, they saw the solar, and then they give you R1,000 fine because you have solar on your roof. And we had this whole argument because in the electrical department, they don't have fines at the moment because their bylaws aren't exactly right at the moment. So they can't fine, but now your building department's fining people. So, I mean, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, not at all.
Okay, and then solar geysers. People asking solar geyser, what's the solar geyser story? The same story? Must they register?
This stage, I have no information that a solar geyser needs to be registered, except if it goes into the technical terms now in here. JONO, you guys have to help me.
Sure. So most solar geysers are made up of an array of pipes. So it's water powered, it's solar energy from the sun that heats the water pipes, right? But if it's one that has electrical panels that runs maybe a DC element or something of that sort, then that might become a problem. And then you'll have to register that. I'm saying it may become.
Yeah, that's how I had it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think JONO, what I wanted to say is you can remember 2022, 2023 for a year. How many buckies were there? If you go to an electrical store, it's just solar, no stock. But so that was a year to put up the things and everything. So I've got no idea how ESKOM thinks they're gonna do this. Because you have to pay up front, and then you have to wait until they come to you. So that's why we brought CIA, and I think Johan, if you can just maybe, I tried to invite him a few times, but if you can, you'll be more than welcome to, and even you can just put your telephone numbers on there. Search on Marula Media; they've got the link there. I will actually do a video of that tomorrow. So that you can see what they all do. So yeah, that's why we say let's get the information that, and it's not speculate what we have now with professionals, and so that we can just see where it's going. And there's certainly people that wants to do things right and stay in law, and then there's people that's going to say no, there's no way, and they're going to try to boycott it or whatever. But I mean, we know if you can do the right thing, there is the right thing. And I'm sure, JONO, like your installations and the good installations, that it will, they will come and inspect, see if it works, and it will be a tick, 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 tick. Yes, it's correct. And but yeah, then the other thing is like the engineer sitting there, he's going to sign off, but maybe it's a good thing, because if something goes wrong, then you can put the blame on him. Because now if there's a fire or anything, then you are the guy that's the COC. So maybe that could be good for the electricians as well. That's why I ran, because I knew, you putting up 100 systems in 3 months or 4 months. There's going to be flaws. There's going to be faults, and somebody can get hurt. Somebody get killed. And that's the thing. Your company, and that's why the people don't understand why this guy is so much more expensive than the other. Because you've got to have liability insurance. You've got to get all those things. It's costing you lots of money. CCMA on and all those things. Bargaining council. The people don't realize why, but now they will see, because it will be tick, 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 tick. It will not be a big amount, because there's some in the business tech, they said some of the inspections from 27 to 50,000. If you have a 5-star inverter on, you can quickly go to 50,000 because that thing is not, it's got no protection, but it does deliver.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the thing. Then the best way for you to go is to go off grid with that thing if you don't want to pay that.
Yeah. Well, what we do is when someone asks me that they want to do this route, the first thing I do is I get my electrical contractor in the area to go there and just have a look for me at the installation, because normally the client sends me the COC, and if I make a few inquiries and I'm not really convinced about the electrician that signed the COC, I would rather tell the client, because I don't, JONO, you're probably going to shoot me now, but I have a few electrical contractors who do that. The first go out, they don't charge me a fee just to go and check the system for me. And that makes the client also feel, all right, so it's someone, I'm not going to pay $2,000 just for him to come and look what's going on in my system. So he goes out, he says, all right, this is the inverter, check all the wiring. Is there something that needs to be done or not? Because then also, if there's a COC, then I can go back and I can try and get hold of that electrician who signed the COC and make him liable if there are any faults that the client needs to repair before we can start up with the registration of the system.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get Johan on here.
I think Johan is thinking kind of two Johans on this.
Sorry, do you have his personal? But you've spoken to him on his personal line the whole day, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got him here on the. I've got him on the phone, but he doesn't see the invite button on the screen.
Oh, well then.
Can the other people see it, or is it only on my screen that it's there?
I see requests on the right-hand side of my screen, and I'm on my cell phone.
Okay, there.
So
I think is. Okay, somebody came in, but yeah, let's just see. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Johan is a lot better with all the technical stuff, and he'll be able to, answer and join in conversation with that. Like I said, my duty is hassling municipalities and getting all my contractors in the right place at the right time and sign off as quick as possible. Because this is also a process. Like I said, it could take quite a while for the municipality to just receive your what the funny thing is about Swane as well, they don't even accept only emailed copies of the SSEG. You need to send them a ring binder with all the documents in as well, a hard copy, and they're literally the only municipality that have requested a hard copy as well. The rest of them only work on emails.
Tell me something with regards to City of Swane. Is there a limit to the amount of solar goes on a single phase system and the 3-phase system, like I mentioned in eThekwini?
JONO, if I'm going to be totally honest with you, if I have to go, I'm going to have to go back to their policies, because I've literally just today run through policies of all the municipalities. I'm going to lie if I have to say something to you now. I'm not. I'll be able to get back to you on that. But ek wil nie nou vir jou jok nie.
No, that's fine. Because this question, I would love someone in the eThekwini to answer it or help or direct us in the right way, because it's in black. It's in black on blue, writing on blue background. It clearly states connect on an embedded generator to the grid with a maximum generation output of 4.6 kVA single phase and 13.8 kVA 3-phase. I'd love people to talk about that, because that looks like a very, very low limiting factor on the solar that you're allowed to put in your house.
Yeah, because if I'm just thinking about the registration that we have done already. One was in Kouga municipality. They have 12 panels of 540 watt each, with a 8 kilowatt inverter.
Yeah.
Okay, so that if once again, maths is not my favorite subject,
Yeah, no,
but just
that's
in my
fine.
head, if you
That
work it
comes to
out, it shouldn't be.
6,480 watts, right? According to the if I had to apply the
Yes,
Etiquette municipality paperwork to it,
yes.
it's obviously over.
It's over, yes.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it's quite funny because another municipality in Drakenstein, we also had one with 10 panels on with a 5 kilowatt inverter. You know, so it is quite funny for me to have them have that stringent regulations,
Yeah.
and see if they are going to enforce it, because literally then you're going to have no one doing the registrations
100%.
because they are not going to take off some of their panels just to be able to keep in that range.
Correct. And if it is like that, and they only want us to put those figures that I said, just mentioned, if it is like that, then it means that you're going to end up registering your system, paying more, and paying for the smart meter, paying for whatever other tariff they want to charge you for having solar, whatever penalization you're going to get. And then on top of that, you're going to need to take more from the grid, because obviously you only allowed to put 4.6 kVA worth of panels.
Exactly, yes. So then you're going to have to buy more prepaid electricity for something that you actually put on a solar system to reduce.
Yeah.
That's protecting their income. That's the only thing.
100%.
You know, that's the only thing, and I think that can be that is one thing that can be fought. You know, they taking about your on your rights to. I mean that. Just to remind the government about the forms they signed for 2030 and for 2050. They're now in court because they're burning coal. So people are doing their best to, you know, government is not doing much. You know, ESKOM is not doing much. The people itself have done, you know, just 14 point something giga, you know, in 1 year. The private sector, you know, it's bigger than a power plant, you know. So the private sector build their own power plant, but yeah, so that is concerning. So there's lots of things that I think that I don't know who's going to fight it for us. Hopefully, you know, most of the people will be maybe a political party, but I think the people maybe OTA will get a new thing. But at the end of the day, I just want to say that Johan really tried to come on, but he cannot come on, so that we will maybe follow up on this maybe in the next week. Then I just want to remind the people, next week we've got but that's going to be on a Teams meeting. I've did a video there as well for Solar Grade. So it's basically a logbook for your whole system, from building right through to maintenance to cleaning, everybody on the same page. So that, and then what I also just wanted to ask you, or if you guys saw the fire regulations which they put on there, ESKOM, did you? I think it was on note 9 where they talk about the fire retardant.
I just, once again, Tshwane municipality was the only one that, not the municipality, but obviously an engineer that does the structural, they said, but the municipality requires fire report as well. But on none of Tshwane's papers or documents is there anything about the fire, which, you know, in my opinion, if you want to do legal in all ways that can prevent a fire, because a solar system is an electrical system that can literally burn your house down.
Yeah. So the reason why I bring it up, because that engineer that went to university and got his certificate on his wall, that's going to take over JONO's, going to look over JONO's shoulder. He's gonna sign that document, and that it is in there, you know. So, but they look at it, you know. That's the thing, because we know what happened with COCs as well. It flew like you know, just pay so much, and I'll send it to you. There's lots of them over, and the same thing will happen here as well. So if they, it's like you say, if they want to do it right, especially on, and for me, especially on the on the commercial buildings. If they focus, that is but a home can burn, but a commercial building, the schools, we went to schools as well, the hospitals, Netcare, that burnt, we worked with City of Tshwane, the emergency services, we gave them training about PV fires, and so they found it very informative about 2 weeks afterwards. Luckily it was at night, but they completely saw things that they didn't think, that wasn't there. So that's our thing, but I'm not yet to push that. But I mean, it needs to be addressed as well. We've been working a year with all the insurance companies, but somehow that does come through because some people phoned us, because the insurance company starts to ask it. So but that's just the thing. If they do the thing right, if you pay, make sure that they go through the whole thing. It's not a very long document, It's yes. I think it's 8 pages, So it's on page 8. Let them go through to page 8, because that's very important. Because now you're defending AC, but you sit with the DC problem. So why don't they fight the DC? So that's the issue. It's the solar panels. It's the AC side is a switch. You can switch it off with many things, easy switch. But your DC side is another thing. DC is direct current.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing and that's why I say I think it would be so much easier for everyone if the municipalities can just have a standard on what they need and what is expected, because to differ from one municipality costs of freaking 30,000 to another municipality whose cost is 10,000, and it makes it impossible almost to really tell people and explain to them why to register, because in this case they're going to pay a lot of money, and this it's going to be less. Like you said just now, sometimes they're going to have to maybe put in a new inverter. That's an additional cost that they never bargained on, because when they did the installation, no one told them there was something like an NRS certificate and things like that. So it's difficult to come from back to front and start from behind and work out your way forward, instead of doing the registration first and then do the installation like they actually wanted to do, or that I think that was their main aim, but it was never really pushed or pressurized until now, and now it's a situation of working from back to front.
Mm-hmm. There's another way we could look at these things. If ESKOM really had their things together, and if they knew and they want to say that from the day one, the only inverters that are allowed to be installed in South Africa are that spec, NRS, I think, what's it, NRS-09 or whatever it is.
097.
Right, perfect. Now, that means they should be dealing with customs. Any container that comes into South Africa that has inverters on it that does not make that spec is an illegal item to be used and sold in South Africa. That should be destroyed or shipped back. Simple. And Absolutely. This would protect the consumer, because the consumer is looking for any way to make their life better. They've got 20 grand, they've got 30 grand. They don't have, not everyone has 150,000, So whatever they got, they're trying to make their life better. Somebody comes there with a 5 grand inverter, they're going to take it.
Yes. No, I totally agree. And that's the problem that I've seen now, because a lot of people come, they send me their spec, and then I'm like, oh my word, it's not the right inverter. So now to go back to him and say, you know what, I can help you, but you're going to have to buy an inverter as well. Then obviously it's a no-go. So they're not going to do a new inverter, because the inverter they have works at the moment. 100%. So why should they go through the whole process and spend more money for a new inverter as well? So I totally agree with you. It's
really sad, because people are frustrated. And I'm one of them as well, And it's just not fair on the consumer. It's not fair on the electrical contractors. It's not fair on the country as a whole. It's like every time they mess up and they're looking for a way to get money of the people. And like how Mookie mentioned earlier, the people that are the ones that want to comply, the people that want to make their lives better are the ones that are going to be targeted.
Exactly, and still at the end of the day, now we've seen in the news the couple of days now going past that they've now stopped this illegal installation and stopped that one and sent out fines, which is actually, you don't have to pay it, it is suspended fines and whatever. But if you go back tomorrow, those installations are going to be illegal again. Yeah. So it's not as if they are making or getting rid of the problem, they're just causing a bigger problem.
Yeah. And if people tackle this the way Johannesburg tackles the e-tolls, then you know where it's going.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I love Cape Town having no e-tolls.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something, guys. I'm from KZN, and I drive to Johannesburg from time to time, and we get the mail with the e-toll bill there. And I'm going to say things that are going to really piss off Johannesburg people. I pay it.
Ah, no, man.
I pay it because I'm telling you, seriously, whatever it is, that 5 Rand or 10 Rand or 20 Rand, whatever, we pay it just because I want to comply. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. And correct, obviously, if I was living in Johannesburg and traveling to it every single day, I'd probably have a different outlook on it. But because I use it a few times, I do pay it because I just don't want to have that bad stigma of that unpaid bill on my name. You with me?
Yeah, it's almost as bad as the SABC TV licenses at the moment.
Exactly.
Yes. So, I think at the end of the day, I think everyone's frustrated. Everyone is really up in arms about this. And like I said, ESKOM is now going on this whole media strike to say that they're going to issue these fines and whatever else, but they need to get their house in order. I am struggling to get hold of ESKOM to try and help a client just because he wants to do the right thing, but I can't get hold of ESKOM. So I can't even help the client at this stage until ESKOM gets back to me. So email doesn't work. Telephones, the amount of times I've heard that this number is currently not in use anymore, or this office has been closed, go to that office. It's a ridiculous circle of events, just trying to get hold of someone to be able to help you. So that's why I say at this stage, municipalities are better. Some are worse than others. Obviously, that's what you're going to get. But ESKOM itself, and I think the problem starts with them, because from them it goes to the municipalities, and the municipalities must now enforce something that ESKOM can't even enforce themselves.
Yeah, and you mentioned even, if people say they want to go off grid, one of the gentlemen asked if we off grid, and if we all say we want to go off grid, let's just say we say that, right? But it's not easy in a suburb or if you got a very big house to go off grid with a 5 kVA inverter, because remember, you got an oven that works with electricity. You got a geyser and stuff like that. So it's easy to say, I'll put in an extra battery, I'll put in more panels, but then your entire generating power, your inverter itself needs to be upsized, and so it's easy to say, I'll go off grid, they can go to hell, I'll switch off my breaker, I'll tell them to come disconnect the power. But now you put yourself in a bigger hole, because remember, one, your inverter will have to be much larger than your 5 kVA, because you'll have to now pick and choose which items you put on at a certain time, because you got no grid to help you at all. And further to that, you might have a day when it's very cloudy and then your batteries don't get charged up. Then you're going to have a small 6.5 kVA to charge the batteries. So saying going off grid, as much as I would love to say, I'll switch off my power, I'll tell Electric Queen to come take out the fuses and I'm done with them. But it's not easy to be off grid completely, especially in a household.
No, and I agree with you with that, and that's why it's important for specialists like yourself to be able to tell people that as well, because most people now, they hear this and they say, okay, but I'm going totally off grid, but they need someone to explain to them. So you're going to need this size inverter, so many batteries, so many panels. You're going to have to when you have a swimming pool pump that pulls a lot, your geyser, because I know a lot of people who have the solar, they still have, say, like their swimming pool pump and the geyser on the grid, and the rest of the house they run, or vice versa, or something like that. But like you say, going totally off grid might also not be the solution to the problem.
No, it's not easy. It's not easy.
You won't.
But
If you have a wife, you will never easily go off grid, or she will take you off. You know, a man by itself can do it, but the hairdryer, the this, the that, the tumble dryer,
Johan, daai freaking daai strydnet van ons is belangrik.
Oh yes.
Unfortunately, but that's the thing, you know. I think the generators, you know, the guys, they suffered a lot, you know, because 28 generators were big. But I mean, they will come back into play now, because lots of people will go off grid now and put on the generator. It's possible, but the thing is, again, now for safety side, that's why they still have to come to an extent to your place, because now you will have, like, you know, see the cable cars, you know, how many batteries, how big is the fire then? So if that's a problem, you know, so it can go wrong if they don't if they don't push it through correctly.
I just read one of the comments now, guys, and it says they installed a solar system for 100K like 2 years ago or something, but his electricity account is still the same. I actually had a client also last week who told me that, and Jono, you'll know what they did was they had them running the solar was only for charging the batteries. So they still ran the whole house on the grid. So the guy couldn't understand. He just put in this huge system, which was now supposed to make his life easier. But obviously, no one explained to him that it must be configured in the right way to put certain things on certain points, on certain stages, so that you use maximum of your solar and minimum of your grid. Because I mean, I wouldn't like to pay 100 grand for a grid for a solar system and then still pay the same electricity every month.
Yeah. So with regards to answering that question, the comment, sorry, if 100K was put into the system and the bill is still the same, you need to actually check exactly how many kilowatts. So let's just say the one day, let's look at it over a period, maybe it was a year ago, and the kilowatts, let's just say you use 1,000 kilowatts, and if it's still using 1,000 kilowatts now, then obviously it's not set up properly. But if it's using 700 kilowatts, but obviously we know the price of electricity went up, so therefore the price is still the same. So that's where we get caught as well, you know. We need to look at kilowatt hours and the price that we pay.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then,
of course, you know, we're talking about, we're obviously going slightly off the topic on the SEG itself, but setting up a system is very important, and a lot of people don't understand it in the sense that you want to use your solar during the day as much as possible, then you're going to use it to charge your batteries. Hopefully you have enough batteries to get you through a big part of the night. You, somewhere along the line, if your grid has to come in and start charging the batteries, or you're going to end up with dead batteries at night. So your battery size is dependent on how quickly your grid comes back online, you know, in the morning hours or whatever it is. So that's so, and then you need to do this whole management thing, you know, of how you run your system. During this time that this beautiful 10 months that we had no load shedding, it was perfect. Everyone could set their system up to let them use their batteries nice and deep into the evenings and come on in the morning. The solar can hopefully charge it up. But now, as soon as load shedding comes back, you obviously need to have different settings, because if your batteries are already sitting at 50% at 8 o'clock in the night, and you've got an 8 to 10 slot or an 8 to 12 slot, I know some places they had like 4-hour slots and stuff, then you're going to end up having dead batteries in the middle of load shedding. So people must be very wary about when they're setting up their system for the different times.
Yeah, that's true.
I think what the smart meters, the point they're going there is basically we're going to get tariffs in, you know, the peak hours, you'll pay more. And, you know, when there's no peaks, then you will pay less. And that will actually hurt the solar industry as well, because they're going to give you nothing during the day because they've got enough energy, but when you get at home, so all these smart things, so if you are smart, if you get as I looked at the air fryer the other day, you can preset it, so you put your say it's wors, you put your wors in out of the freezer, it actually defrosts it, and you can set it will cook it and it will keep it warm. When you get home, it's already there while your solar is still on. The same with your geysers, all those things. So that, because you want to use the sun as much as you can, and at night you don't want to use all those other things. So yeah, smart. But to manage that is you will start with it, and then at the end of the day, we know life is just too fast. You just pay, you just get over and done with. But that will hurt harvesting. It's not going to benefit you to put back. It's already in Australia. They're very upset. They at this stage they are there because they don't really have batteries like so they've got grid ties. So they actually pay now to put into the grid.
Sure. Look at that.
Yeah.
So this whole registration process, to me, yes, it's beautiful to comply. I mean, we are contractors, we electrical guys, we want safety, we want things to comply. However, when you start taking us as if we ignorant or naive, and taking us and using us to know that we want to comply, and then using it around and abusing us, that's not cool. You know what I mean? End of the day, imagine a person puts in the system, he gets it registered, it feeds into the grid, back in the grid, and then next thing you know, he's getting this type of bill from municipality because he's got solar. It's more for revenue generation, just finding a way to make people that live in suburbs, people that have solar, to pay, because now they're losing all these people. Everyone's putting solar, they are losing that client base, and those are the paying client base. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You're losing the people that pay. So
Yeah,
how
and
else do we get
unfortunately,
it? We make them. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not good for the industry. This is now really not good for the industry, because it's already went down after they burned the coal. But now it's getting worse. But yeah, I think if it's easier to start with it, then there's no surprises now. I think the other people will struggle to get them on board. But yeah, just tell us, the people that just joined now, just tell us more about CIA. You can use this just to tell us where they can get you. You've got a website.
Okay, thanks, Johan. Yes, okay, so we based in the Boland in Wellington, but we do registrations nationwide because we have a network of electrical contractors and engineers and whatever in all the different municipalities. So what we do is we try and assist the installers as well as the homeowners who have already now installed their system, and now they want to register with the municipality, or they want to install and they want to register beforehand. So we look at the specific municipality, guidelines, bylaws, what's necessary, what they require, what they don't require, and then we give you a quotation to say this is what it's going to cost you for the whole process, and then we manage and run the process on behalf of the people. So you don't need to speak to the municipality, you don't need to look for a contractor or an engineer or whatever else, unless obviously, because a lot of I've seen a lot of people who have quite a strong connection with their electrical contractor who did their installation for them. So obviously that's my first go-to. I'll go to that contractor, or they have someone who is an electrical engineer or whatever else, just obviously to bring down the costs. As long as I get the necessary paperwork in place that I can send to the municipality for the approval, I really try and keep the costs as low as possible for the client, because it can amount to huge thousands of rands. And I don't think it's nice or necessary, and I understand why people are angry. But that is what we try and do. So we try and assist as far as possible to take away the admin, the management, the hassle, the issue from the clients, and we handle that. We arrange with you when they need to come and out to do inspections for a time that'll suit you. So we handle all the administration and the management up until the final commissioning of your system.
Okay, there's just a question on that. Roughly, how much is the service? Maybe I'm sure it will differ, but if you can give an idea for G-Man.
Yeah, like I say, municipalities differ. So, okay, I'm going to use Drakenstein as one example because I know what the smart meter costs are. The other municipalities, I only get the quotation afterwards because they go and work it out, and so not everyone's quote on a smart meter and feeding back is the same. So Drakenstein, for a whole installation, including your architectural plan, your structural plan, your smart meter, your installation, your SSEG application, your EXA sign-off will cost you roughly between 20 and 23,000 rand. Then we go to Tshwane. Then for all those services, they don't require architectural plans, but they require obviously your structural report and your fire report, and that. Those engineers in Tshwane also are a bit more expensive than the ones down in Cape Town. So that installation, but that excludes now the smart meter, the cost of the smart meter, and if there's an installation charge, because like I said, the municipality only gives you that later. So that without the smart meter is already turning around at about 21,000, because I think the structural engineer who gives the structural and the fire report, their fee is just over 10,000 for those two reports.
Yeah, so it's not small money, but it is at the end of the day. A battery is also not, and if your house burned down, if the insurance doesn't pay, people must think about that as well, so it's, so it's a tough one. Sorry, I see the internet is again bad here.
I just, one last thing that I just want to say is, I know at this stage the insurance companies require the COC to be sent to them. I have had a few insuring brokers that have phoned me and said, but do the companies now not also actually require the municipal registration when something happens to be able to pay out? Because now the brokers are afraid that the COC is not going to be enough, because the insurance company is going to come back and say, but was it registered with the municipality, and we need proof of that before we're going to pay out. So that's also something that at this stage is hanging, because I don't have an answer for you, to be quite honest. I don't have an answer. But yes, you don't want the situation that your house burns down and they tell you that they're not going to pay out because it's not registered.
Yeah, because
and as soon as the insurance company employ that attitude, then there's going to be a lot of nonsense going on.
Yes, no, I totally agree. And I think that's why at this stage they're still kind of standing out of the water. But I don't know, I sometimes feel insurance companies, they try and see why they cannot pay out rather than why they can pay out. So yes, like I said, it's just something to keep in mind as well. I don't have an answer, but just keep that at the back of your mind.
Yeah, we must remember the insurance companies. We worked with them and show them the thing. So, but most of our insurance companies are basically, they insure they insure as well. So they get it from Lloyd's of London, Global FM, and all those things. And those guys, they work in the first world countries, and there's problems, there's fires. So things get strict there, and they write the policies, and then it comes down to us. But yeah, it's exactly as you say. They're standing very much far behind the first few claims, and that's why I said, JONO, go for it. Let them do this, get that onto the engineer's back, so that you can just say, no, he signed it, So that was my biggest fear, is what if something happened? Somebody's got to be held accountable. So, insurance companies doesn't just pay; they sue somebody. Who's going to be sued? And hopefully, these fly-by-night COCs that went past, there's going to be lots of trouble later on.
Yeah.
So I think if there's somebody that we really invite you to come on if you want to talk, we can give time. We gave information. If you will come and be quiet, kom word kwaad maar, to hear, so that I think we gave a lot of information. I will actually download this, and I will also post it on the YouTube, because I think it's very informative for the people. I'll send it to you guys as well. So, and I will actually see if I can send it to ESKOM as well, just to hear the concerns and see the comments. That's the main thing, because the people are not happy. Although we as South Africans, most of the people, it's like JONO say, he's paying his e-toll. We really want to comply, but jy kan nie water uit 'n klip uit, of wat, hoe sê hulle, bloed uit 'n klip uittap nie.
Water uit die klip uittap nie.
Ja, jy kan ook nie water, daar's net Moses kon, maar ons kan nie. So yeah, I think it was very informative, and I thank you for coming on. I think let's give it a chance. If somebody wants to come up, then you're more than welcome. I don't see any invites. But yeah, but how's the market now there by you? Are still very quiet, JONO?
Very, very quiet. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the main thing. The electricians that just didn't pop up. You will always have work. But
yeah. I mean,
if you get involved with solar, it's a passion. It becomes a lacquer thing to do. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm an electrical contractor. I didn't start doing this just because I want to do solar and put up panels and wash panels and all of that. I do that because I'm an electrician by trade, so I became an electrical contractor, and then we run from there. And solar and inverters and backup power is just an offspring from our skill set. That's how it's supposed to have been. And if you look at the law behind electrical installations, it was only supposed to be done by a registered electrical contracting company. You need to be registered with the ECA. You need to be registered as a contracting company. You need to have your bargaining council. You need to have your guys registered, because end of the day, if the way the electrical industry was built, it's obviously electrical is all about safety, and if a person gets electrocuted on the job and he dies, what happens then to his family, payouts? So our guys are registered with pension, all of that. And how do I compete in a market with guys that have literally started solar yesterday just because it was a market, So we try our best to comply as much as possible, but obviously we end up quoting against someone that doesn't have any of those above registration. The registration board is longer than my arm that we registered with. It's crazy.
No, and this what did that PV green card that they dished out to freaking everyone. It is, oh my word. And you know what? There are still municipalities who say they prefer installations done by someone with a PV green card.
Nonsense.
And I'm like, do you have any idea what you're doing here?
Exactly.
So I think that was one of the first things that we tried to stay away from as far as possible. If a client tells me he had someone like that do the installation, I'm like, I'm sending you someone else because there's definitely going to be issues on that.
Just to speak about the whole PV green card thing, I don't have it, right? I wanted to do it for many times. I wanted to do, but I just couldn't make that time. You needed like a week off from work to sit and do all of this, which I just couldn't dedicate to. And obviously, they don't come to Durban that often. It's every couple of months that they do it, and every time when they do it, I'm busy. So I ended up not getting it. However, it's so weird when the PV, what was it, the Green Card Association or whatever it was created. It was nice. It was a body that was created to protect the industry. However, they said, okay, cool, we're going to have this whole PV green card thing. And next thing you know, plumbers and candlestick makers and all of these type of people are going and doing this thing. And next thing, they all got this beautiful card in their hand without even knowing what P is equal to V times I is. A simple thing as that. They don't know that. They don't have that. And they are now they're actually holding this green card so proudly, more than I would hold my ECA registration or my KZN number in my hand, and it's like, what is going on here? And it's sad because even the banks ask for that. It's even tenders ask for that. I mean, seriously, who writes these things?
They should know better.
Exactly.
Yeah, you see, what I always say is I try to say to the guys that, it's like building a home, especially if the system is big. I can see a guy that's doing roofing, that he's the best guy to put on panels, because there's just a connection. But when it gets to the electricity side, when you get to the AC side and the connections, that's something different, and trunking, you have to have. Sorry, I missed it. Just ask again. There was an invite. I see. Yeah. But you get one person wants to do everything, and but it's a weird industry. But we learn from it, and we they're going to take all the technical guys because the whole of the world is going solar now. So there's lots of people that learned quite a lot. So they will take all our technical guys again because there's no work here. Yeah. Can you the person that requested, just please request again? I missed it there. Or sometimes they made a finger fault. But
when we talk about electrical, it's not just knowing how to design and spec out a system. It's about even the way your cables run. If you got a cable going under a roof tile, the PV cable, for example, the guys just have the PV cable sitting on the roof tile with another roof tile smashing up against it. They don't even try to find some way to protect the cable. It's going to be sitting there for the next 20 years, through all the elements. Something's going to give some time or sooner or later,
And I promise you that that's going to get to a fire. It is. At some point, it will.
I saw tape joins in ceilings on DC cables. Literally tape on the PV cable in the ceiling, no protection, just hanging under the plastic. Even just entering underneath the plastic, we'll find a way where the two plastics overlap, and we'll go underneath it. So in that angle, we'll go underneath it so water can't penetrate and go up that way.
Correct,
guys will just make a hole through the plastic, and cables are in the ceiling, hanging, dangling. People don't realize.
And when they come down the ceiling, they are 100 millimeters apart, and stickers are on. Everything looks nice. Yeah.
And I've seen, guys, I've seen some installations by some very, very popular companies. I'm talking about big companies, and I'll never mention anyone's names here. But I've seen some that are so far from being legal. The quality of the workmanship, the lack of protections devices on the systems. It's sad. And by no means am I perfect. We're an electrical contractor, but we try our best. We try to give our best. However, we see some really, really scary things. And about 2 weeks ago, actually, we had an electrical fault to attend to. I happened to visit the site. It was a home. And the person had a 5 kVA Mercer inverter, I think, and they had 4 200 amp hour batteries on the floor. No box for it, And guess what? On top of the batteries was a fire extinguisher, metal fire extinguisher sitting on the bottle, meaning that all it needed was for somebody to knock it over and it would shot it across all the terminals and there would have been an absolute huge explosion there.
Yeah.
So we see this every day.
And the thing is, I think most homeowners, they don't have the knowledge. So they, obviously, like you said, you have a budget and you work in that budget. So now you get someone to work in your budget, and when they finished, you think it's supposed to look that way. So you're happy with it. And obviously it works. And then for some or other reason, something happens and you get someone else out and they literally want to cry because, like, who did this? Because it is so illegal. And then the client says, but I have a COC. And that's the biggest problem, because obviously as a homeowner, I have no idea exactly what the wiring should look like. And so I trust the person that I'm paying to do the job that I'm paying him for.
Yeah. For you, as soon as the inverter works, you're happy.
Yes.
It's doing its job.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you're going to compare it and you're going to say, see, this guy was charged me this, and JONO came in at 2 times the price, and thank God I didn't go, JONO. You were trying to rob me, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And then at the end of the day, they don't understand, because if they take a year or 2 or 3 along the line, what the additional costs were just to make the system legal and compliant and whatever else, they actually paid 3 times that you quoted them initially.
Correct. And over and above the money, when I walk around, I walk with almost doing like a mental risk assessment every single day. You're just checking out. You can see things that are not in place. I'm not even talking electrical. I'm just talking about day to day. When you're approaching a traffic light and you know it's green for you to go, but you take a look to the right because somebody is going to shoot past you, that kind of thing. I'm constantly doing this assessment. And when I go into a household or a company, and obviously we have an eye now for electrical, so you just look, and you can just see all the dangers just by walking through that place. And that's the sad part, because most people can't see those dangers,
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's why I think because of all those flaws that we spoke about, that's why they tried to say, and I think that it does come not just from ESKOM as well, NRA, NERSA, those guys know. The photos, the TikToks, you see it on, because not everybody tries to do their business, and especially during that time where we saw some people that are doing 3 or 4 systems a day. I could not understand how they could do that, but I think I do. But yeah, that's the thing. So get the standards up is good, and maybe if you still don't want to do it, really have somebody come back to look at your system. Get a different guy. Just ask somebody. If the people don't have works, they will come for a call out, and let them just check if everything is fine, because those things are very, very, very. See, is there a request?
I think I need to get my PRN to check up all my work now.
Okay, I see there's 2 requests. Sorry.
Very undermining, eh?
I might have missed it.
Good evening.
Hey, Sid invited me. Check that, invited me.
Go for it.
Hi, you want to say something, or was it on per toeval?
Yeah, sure. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Man.
There was a topic that was mentioned by CIA. Say someone comes through and does an installation, and then you figure out that it's faulty or something's not right. As a homeowner, what rights do I have against that person?
All right. So it depends on who did your installation. So what they would have obviously given you is a COC, Certificate of Compliance. What I normally do is my first call would be to the person who signed the COC, try and get all their credentials, try and make sure that their credentials are accurate, because we've also found a lot of people writing down registration numbers on COCs that don't even exist. And should they be registered like JONO with the necessary councils and bodies and whatever else, your recourse would obviously be to go back to those councils and try and hold that installer or electrician or electrical contractor who did the installation accountable. It might be a long process. It might, at the end of the day, it's a difficult thing for a homeowner to physically fight, because it might become a legal battle, which is going to cost you lots and lots of money. You can obviously also go to the ombudsman and give it up there, try and go the arbitration route. So we try and assist clients, and I think that's why it's so important for, before you have an installation, to make sure that you pick the right contractor to do the installation, that you know beforehand what you need to look at, what qualifications they need to have. But like I said, in a situation where you already have that, we normally send someone else out that we obviously have on our network. They go do an assessment, and then we try and get recourse. It is not always possible. It might be impossible. You might only get a partial amount back. You might get nothing back, and you're going to have to redo maybe in phases, or just try and get the install up to a standard that is legal for all intents and purposes. John, I don't know if you have something to add, maybe.
Yeah, sure. So, G-Man, with regards to that, if you have a contractor that did the installation that's not a registered contractor, then you'll have to have that whole legal fight and getting an ombudsman probably, or you'll have to try and take him up to court, get a lawyer in and all of that. However, if you had a registered electrical contractor, like, so if I did your work and if you are not happy with my work, you could either speak to me directly and you tell me this is what your problem, and you can see what type of answer I give you, and then you know what your step forward from there. If I give you an answer that you are not happy with, you can go to the ECA. You can go to the ECA, you can say, listen, this is JONO from Wire to Wire. He did my installation, but this is what I see is wrong here. And they will then contact me. They will contact me and say, JONO, this is the client, this is what he said you've done in your place, and I will have a chance to explain to him. Then he will then do a site inspection to see whether I have done wrong. If I have done wrong, you will then address me and tell me, JONO, you put the wrong size cable in there, or you've put this incorrectly, please sort it out. And I could tell him, you know what, you can go to hell, or I can tell him, you know what, thank you, bring it up, I will go and sort it out. And the right contractor will realize his fault and he will fix it. Unless we had a little fallout where you didn't want to pay me for something, and then I can explain it to that contractor, to the ECA, this is the problem I had. And then there'll be a different case of a different type of answer to that whole thing. I just to give a little bit more on this, because I actually had an issue like this 2 years ago or so. We did a COC for a small, call it apartment, and it was actually one of the only COCs that we did for a sale that needed no repairs. The only thing it needed was one label on the DB that had fallen off. So we put the label in, we did all our tests, and we left. A month or two later, when the new owner moved in, he then picks up the phone, my number's on the COC, he phones me, and he starts to cuck me out. So he's telling me that, how did I do a COC for this place? There's cables hanging all over the floor, and the plug boxes are on the floor, and now the building manager came in and he saw all the cables like this, and they said that if there's a fire, the insurance company is not going to pay. A whole lot of nonsense. So I went through my book to see so I told him, send me the pictures. He sent me the pictures, and I could see that the cables were all over the floor. And then I looked at it and compared it to the pictures that when we did the COC, because that's very important. When we do our COCs, we try and take a lot of pictures and we keep it in folders so we can reference it at any given time. And just like that, I looked at the pictures and I could see this guy was doing renovations. So the place had carpets and wooden skirtings. And the cables were on cable clips, Surfax cables, and it was done neat and tidy, all compliant. However, this guy got all the wooden skirtings removed and the carpets removed. So all these cables were obviously hanging on the floor. And then he was trying to get me to now come and redo the job on what he pulled out, and he wanted it for free. So he tried to threaten me, and he tried to use some sort of nonsense to try and threaten our livelihood by telling us he'll tell the person who was giving us the work to not give us the work anymore. A whole lot of nonsense. Anyway, I put together a whole letter, sent it to the ECA, and just like that, lucky I did that, because he went and phoned the ECA the next morning, and he went and complained about me. So I get a call from the technical guy from the ECA. Now remember, the guys that work even at the ECA, some of the technical guys, they all are, some of them are contractors as well. They kind of work, I think, on volunteer basis there, and they all run businesses, some of them. So this guy phoned me and said, "JONO, what's up? Why are you fighting with the customer? What did you do? You made it like a joke." And then I told him, no, this is the story. This guy looked like he was doing renovations, and he was trying to get me now, and he's threatening me. And I put it all in email. And this guy said, "No, don't worry, JONO, let me go take a look at it." He went up to the place, he saw the job, he sent me a message and he said, "JONO, don't worry, you won't be hearing from this guy again." So he went there and he set the guy straight that you're trying to take advantage of the contractor, that kind of thing. Yeah.
And it's going to happen, and it's actually a very good idea. I've never had photos with a COC from other contractors. So, yeah, thank you for that, because that's actually a very good idea.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Because there's a lot of times something stupid will come up. And like even we had an issue once where the seller removed his fancy chandelier from his place. And the wires were naked and hanging out of the roof. And this was done after we did the COC. So when the new person comes in, he picks up the phone and he starts swearing and fighting. "How did you leave naked wires? You'll remove the ceiling, the thing." And we're like, "The chandelier, why would we take out the chandelier?"
No, you get people who try funny stuff, honestly.
Oh, big time. We do. Get it.
Can we just get what is the website? Your website, Shonene?
You're speaking to me. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna type it to you now.
Type it there, and then there's a question that just asks, it says, what happens once you register your solar system to the council? Will they make you pay for a new meter? I think the answer might be yes, but
yes, yeah, it's going to be a definite yes. Like I say, different municipalities have different ways of how they handle the smart meter, what they charge, what they don't charge for. Do they supply it? Can you supply? Things like that. But that that obviously differs from municipality to municipality.
Hi, Suresh. Do you want to ask something? Can you hear us, Suresh? Might be. Also, just maybe press the wrong button. I'm going to disconnect you. If you can ask again. Sometimes it's you speak, but they don't hear you. All right. Yeah. So okay. Yeah, I think it was really informative. I really feel that. I learned, we can learn, and that's the thing, this is basically what JONO does as well. He puts so many content, and I thank him for that. We always like one another's posts. I learn a lot from him. He will come soon to the Free State and see if he can farm here. Definitely. Because his farm is getting small there in the Natal.
It's very small. I need a bigger piece of land.
All right. Yeah, I think if maybe in the future we'll see from the comments and everything if you feel like we're going to talk about it again. I think it's good. Maybe not that long, but or maybe that long. I think most of I heard that the president is also talking, and there's a few people that watch us at least. So we spared you that.
You're saying that, right? I didn't even realize it was a State of the Nation speech now. And I just left my father-in-law's place, and he told me, "Oh, isn't it the SONO today?" And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even know." Then, but I mean, seeing all the people that are here, I appreciate you guys being here, man. It's so cool that you all chose to be here.
Yeah, I think the people
I know it's my first time to some. I also feel quite. I felt quite inadequate in the beginning, but I think it was all fine now.
No, it was very helpful. It was very informative. Actually, like I said, this was my first live, and I actually never thought I'll even come to one of these things ever. It just feels weird. But I think and I saw one of the guys even mentioned here, it was actually a good use of the platform. Thank you for saying that, Kumar. Because normally you hear about these lives, people are just swearing and fighting and shouting and whatever. But this is how these things should be really used.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Listen, Johan, my Johan just said, because he's master of the website as well. He said, he will send you the website details, because he's reconstructing it with all the new regulations since ESKOM started to jump up and down, and Marula Media on that as well. So we just want to make sure everything's in order, because I don't want people going on there and then there's something different to what we're saying now, or
Correct,
what they heard now, or whatever. So I'd rather, if we can do it that way, then I just feel more at ease.
So
they
can
have my email address and my telephone numbers. So they can go crazy.
Yeah, and I think the people can also, ESKOM has quite a lot of they did a very good job on their website. All the application forms is there, it's basically everything is there, so that you can, if you're not sure, you can browse through it. But sometimes, a normal person, even me, sometimes try to understand what they really mean there. What we didn't touch is they spoke about the deadman switch. Have you seen one before, JONO?
You're talking about similar to like a fireman switch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not installed any on our installations, and I haven't seen anyone installing it on any installation. Yeah.
And then,
but when you say it, it makes sense to have one. However, then you're going to have, sometimes, depending on how many pole it is, because if you got like 2 or 3 or 4 strings up on the roof, they're going to all go to one deadman switch in one location, or they're going to have numerous deadman switches, so that also becomes a legal thing as well, because if it's in the legislation or it's in our code that we must have a isolation point right up at the panels or on a fascia board or in a place where it can be easily visible, you cannot have them in different locations, because one person will, when a person needs to switch off, they'll think that that's the only point and think that they made a place safe.
That's the fireman switches, but I'm talking about on the AC side.
On the AC side. So you're trying to say there'll be a switch between the municipal supply and your distribution body. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's basically on the bigger systems, but so I was just wondering if you saw one before. Because that's now in there, so to make sure everything is cut, in emergencies and then okay, but I think there's lots of ways to make the system safer and this and that, but as well, the more switches, the more risks, more connections. That's the main concern.
More points of failure as well.
yeah, and then it was what we spoke about yesterday. So the tip of the day is have what's it, once a month? We spoke about yesterday.
Yeah. Yes.
Have you tested your earth leakage at least once a month? That is you have to do that, because at the end of the day you won't know if it's working, or it can basically corrode and you won't know it. So make sure that's a safety tip of the day.
Yeah.
At least once a month, trip it.
Yeah. So what Johan is basically saying, guys, there's your earth leakage in your distribution board. When once a month, walk past it. There's a little button there. test button, just press it, it should trip. If it doesn't trip, the earth leakage is faulty and you need to get it replaced because it's not serving its purpose of being able to assist and trip in a fault condition.
Correct. You can do it every time if you have to load your prepaid,
100%, yeah.
But I mean, it's a simple tip, but it can save a life, so.
100%, yeah. I mean, if you have an earth leakage that's not working, but it's connected there, it's as good as not having an earth leakage at all.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right, I think that is it. We went over the 2 hours, so thank you, JONO, and
Thank you, guys.
Mere names, I must read it again. Ek is so sleg met name. Almal ken my met dit.
Dis okay, ek verskoon jou, weet jy.
Shonene. Shonene. Ek wil
Dis
sê
wat gebeur het, it's what happens when you have a Afrikaans dad and an English mom. My mom was from Ladysmith, Natal, and my grandmother said, when you have a daughter, you call her Shonene. And my mom married a freaking Afrikaans boykie from Robertson, so went to Afrikaans school. So Shonene went to just Shonene, like Janine with a sh in front, please, because otherwise we're never going to get it.
Yeah, no, I've got it now. I will remember it now, Shonene. Yeah, but thanks a lot. I see the people say I'm hitting on you. Yeah, that's not the case. And yeah, some people say thanks, guys. It was informative. I think it was. All right. Have a good night. And
guys, take care of yourselves. Everyone in the live.
Don't go Google what Ramaphosa said now.
We better to top news tomorrow. Thank you very much, guys.
You remember the last time you told us, guys, put as much solar as you can. Now you're going to be saying, guys, you need to take off some of your solar because you need to register this now.
Yeah, I mean it's total, and that's another thing on the business side. They must make sure because the end of when does it end? End of for the rebates, the 125% write-off that they could have used.
Sure.
So if their accountant wasn't awake, then they would have, at least you could. They must claim it from them. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Right,
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.